Welcome everybody to a new video. We will deep dive today in Process Lasso. I will try to cover every aspect of this software. I will cover the structure of this software. I will cover a performance analysis in some games that I did, tests in FPS and latency. We will see, we will get inside in Process Lasso to see every single configuration, and we will try to explain everything. At the end of this video, obviously, I will tell you my opinion about if we should use the software, and I hope you to enjoy this video. About this talk, you will learn about Process Lasso and how to get performance advantage with that tool. In the analysis part, you will see the Process Lasso structure and the performance analysis. I hope you will leave knowing how to optimize Process Lasso based on your needs, how to create dedicated profiles for different jobs, and experimenting further with Process Lasso. Process Lasso is Windows process automation and optimization software. It's structured a service process governor.exe that enforces rules and algorithms configured by the GUI. Process Lasso.exe is developed in C++ and it's well-tuned and mature code base. So those softwares, those executable files are the two more important that defines of the Process Lasso. The core engine that are responsible for every configuration to apply, and the Process Lasso is the graphic environment to do your changes. But let's see also the requirements for Process Lasso. For workstation, we have all Windows versions from 7 until 11, and for Windows servers, we have from 2008 until 2022. Here we have the 5 main components of Process Lasso. We talked about graphic user interface, the core engine. We see now the session agent that is responsible for some facilities for governor and some information to get, and it's used from Pro Balance and Idle Saver. We have the configuration file. This is responsible for our configuration that we apply to our system. We can export those configuration files, we can import them, we can change the settings inside, and also we have the log files. We can see the logs of Process Lasso, what is happening in real time, and I think it's very, very interesting. Now we want to mention that Process Lasso consists of a core engine and a user interface. The two are separated and they work individually so that users are completely close the user interface while keeping Process Lasso active, managing processes. So now we understand that we can close graphical user interface completely. We can disable this executable file when we're done with our configurations. We can keep only core engine enabled to apply all those settings that we changed. Now about some features, we have the process I/O and memory priorities, we have the CPU affinities, we have the CPU sets, we can disable hyperthreading or SMT for specific processes, we can use time resolution, we can use Pro Balance algorithm, we can, by default Pro Balance is enabled, but we can configure it or either disable it. And we have the Bitsum highest performance power plan. Obviously we have more options that we will see in later, but here we have a sample of the options from Process Lasso. Now let's discuss about the free versus the pro version. As you see, we have a photo that shows you all features of Process Lasso and which feature are available on trial only or are free at all. According to Jeremy Kolak, the founder of this software, it will work fine. In the worst case, an available feature will simply be ignored. And presently, the pro features actually don't stop working once configured. The block is instead in creating new rule settings. I can't guarantee that will always be the behavior through. What does this mean? When we install for first time Process Lasso, we go to trial mode. So some features are available for a limit time, so you can configure them, but when the limit time is passed, you can't reconfigure those options, so you need to stay with the old options for those features. Some other features are disabled at all in free version and it is only available in pro version. This is the Process Lasso interface. We have the graphical environment, we have the process environment, and the process environment is actually the same with Process Explorer or Task Manager. And we have the logs, and we can see in real time, as we said, the actions of Process Lasso. Now let's discuss about the ProBalance. ProBalance is the name of our proprietary algorithm that dynamically adjusts the priority of running processes in an effort to keep your system responsive during high loads. Process Lasso ProBalance intelligently lowers the priority class of background processes when they may be interfering with system responsiveness. So, under a high workload, ProBalance will decide which backend process will get lower priority to give a boost and a better responsiveness to your system and to your foreground program. And also we can see the photo here with the settings that we can configure based on our needs. Also, a very important aspect of Process Lasso is the rules and how the symbols of the rules, the characters. You see, we saw before on the interface what here we have the rules on that side. So every symbol, every character that we see in the rules means something different. For instance, the X character means excluded from ProBalance, and so on for the other characters. The rules columns in the process list provides a shorthand notation of rules set for each process. So now we are ready, I think, to move to our demo to see closely the Process Lasso. So let's open it. I have the light view. You can change it and disable it. If you right click on the processes tab, it will pause and you can continue the graphs. This is the graphical environment. We have some metrics. We see some options if they are enabled or not. We can see the ProBalance events. We can see the current power plan, the current active power plan. We can see on the left side if we have activate or not the Process Lasso. We can see the responsiveness for every single case for our system. As you see, we see a graph. We can see the percentage of CPU threads and the memory usage. Here we have the old processes, include foreground and background processes and the parents processes. We can change the columns here. We can add more. We can add every single column if we want to have all available information. It's not necessary to change anything here. Obviously, we can select multiple processes to change priorities, affinities, to change anything we want. Also, it's very important to mention that we have more options if we open only a process at a time. If we open multiple, we see we are limited to our actions. We have the action log. We talked about the log file. Here we can open Process Lasso to buy the Pro version. We can see insights of ProBalance. We can change some options. We can disable it. We can open logs. We can see what is happening at this moment. As you see, ProBalance doing some actions to OBS. As you see, it's very useful because we see live what is happening to our system. We can see the process ID of OBS. We can see when that happened. This happened almost 2 minutes ago, 1 minute ago. We can see more info about what happened. We can see the path and a command line if it's as option. So we can see the logs here. We can expand our graphs if we want. We can expand. We can close. We can hide the graph. We can show the graph. We can change the color as we said before. It's up to you. It's your personal preferences. We can expand the graph. Here we have the main tab. We can hide Process Lasso. We can reopen it. We can disable the managed processes of all users, which means if you have multiple login accounts, you can select which accounts will get access to Process Lasso configurations. You can select active power plan. At this moment I have select Bitchum highest performance. You can select keep PC awake. I will leave definitely. We have the Pro Balance option enable. We have the performance mode enable. By default, this option is disabled, which means it will get enabled for specific tasks, and it will get enabled automatically only if you have Bitchum highest performance enabled. If you choose a different power plan, performance mode need to be enabled by default. Otherwise, it will not get enabled. And also, we will see an option later on about how to set performance mode for specific processes, which means when they trigger Process Lasso, a specific process will enable performance mode. We can stop the core engine of Process Lasso. We can exit completely the Process Lasso, and if we press exit, we have this message that say if we want to only disable, if we want only to exit from the GUI, the Process Lasso, and or if we want to close completely this program, include the core engine. At this moment, I want to close everything, and as you see, if we go to Task Manager, nothing is running in the background related with Process Lasso. Everything are disabled. If we reopen it now, for some reason I can't see it here. Why? Anyways, let me fix it. Okay, we're here. Hey, now we can reopen it. And as you see, in Task Manager, everything are back to normal. We can create here our profiles. We can create a profile, test 2. We can use the current settings, or we can create new settings for our profile. And as you see, now the test 2 is the activate profile. We can manage the configs. We can configure which process will have a specific profile. For instance, let's imagine that this is the Valorant.exe. I want test 1. I will add the rule. For CS2, I want the test 2. I will add the rule. So, when I open Valorant.exe, Process Lasso will select this profile. If I open CS2, will select test 2 profile, and so on. We can also manually edit configuration by opening the notepad, and we can change anything for a specific process. We can export a configuration, we can import a configuration, and that's basically the all options here. We'll close this. No. In view, it's your personal preference what you want to see or not to see, and some colors if you want to have the dark mode or not. The general mode is the most important, I guess. We can configure the startup if you will opening only the core engine or only the GUI on both together. On my case, I will leave them both enabled. Exit without apply, no. We can select our language. Again, here the most options are our preferences. We can see all. We can have some options here. Those are experimental, always show bits of highest performance, for instance. Nothing very interesting. We can select again the log files, what we will see here. The interval of process sampling. Now let's go to the CPU tab. We have the Pro Balance options. We talked about this before. We can disable or keep it enabled and reconfigure those options that are by default. You can exclude some processes from Pro Balance, and you can restore to defaults if you mess with those options. You have the CPU priorities you can select for your specific processes. The same for the affinities. You can add your rules. Same thing for sets. Efficiency mode is not enabled on my case. You can do the same for CPU limiter. For instance, balancer. The group extender is not enabled for me. It's not support because you need 64 and more. You need 65 plus threads to use this option. The memory, we have the SmartTrim. This is an option, it's a memory management algorithm that you can enable and configure to clean your memory and give you a better management of your system. I'm not gonna cover it on this video, but if you want to see more about some options such as this the SmartTrim and the Watchdog that I will show you in a few minutes, let me know in comments. We have also the foreground boost. We can enable foreground boost and we can select also to the foreground programs that getting this boost, also getting another boost to go to high priority. But if you have already selected a specific priority for your foreground program, it's not necessary to enable this option. And also you can select exclusives if you want to remove a process from getting foreground boosting. For instance, if you streaming and you have your game and the OBS in the background, you may want to set OBS to not taking any foreground boost. And that's all. Obviously, we have. I'm sorry. We have the dynamic thread priority boost. By default, this option is enabled for every single process, but you can select here process and add the rules to not getting this boost. Obviously, you want to do this for your backend apps. And also we have the hard throttles, the same thing. We can select the level of the throttling for a specific process. In memory now, we talked about the SmartTrim. We can set also memory priorities for a specific process. We have the power performance mode. We talked about the performance mode. Here you can select a specific process to triggering the performance mode. So if you select the CS2, when Process Lasso see this executable file, will enable automatically performance mode. We have also which profile we want to enable when we starting Process Lasso. I want Bitsum. We can select Adil Saver. We can select application profiles, which means again if we want for CS2 to have a specific power plan to get enabled when Process Lasso see this process. So for instance, I want when I open CS2 to enable this power plan. And I add the rule and I press OK and I'm ready. Prevent the sleep, the same, you set the process that when it's on the foreground will not letting your windows to go to entering in sleep state. We have the IO option. I think we saw anything from power. Okay. In IO priorities, we can set priorities, IO priorities for every single process that we want, and we can select the level. We have the control, the process watchdog. The process watchdog is let's take for example again the CS2, and we can select for virtual memory or for CPU. For our example, I will select CPU. If if the CPU usage with this process go greater than, for instance, 50%, I want for, and the duration of this percent is, for instance, 10 seconds, I want to do this job. I will select the job that I want. For example, I want to set an IO priority to lower or to high, an even high priority. We can select a critical priority here. We can stop processing rules. We can restart the process. We can terminate this process. So if this happen and I add this rule, will terminate my process. You must be careful with that, but I guess it's very interesting as an option to use it. I'm not gonna save anything. Also, we have some other options that you can create instances for a specific process. We can disallow processes from executing on our computer. Keep running auto restart. We can select some other options. Those options, guys, are passing them very fast because it's not so necessary to try them and do changes on those options. It's not necessary. Just leave Process Lasso to do its job. Now in Tools tab, we have the CPU core parking. We can install park control if we want to unpark our cores. Obviously, you can do it manually and you don't need to install another software to do that for you. I'm not gonna do it now. It's already everything disabled. The CPU Either demo is a benchmark for probe balance to test probe balance how it works and how changing the process, the priorities. We talked about probe balance before. We have this thread racer. Thread racer is a benchmark for our threads to find the best thread, the most powerful thread to set it as affinity. You can set time resolution. We can select apply globally. This option is for Windows 11, if you remember well. And when you do this, it will create a profile, a registry entry on this path. If I open this, press yes. As you see, if I refresh, for some reason I don't see it. Wait. As you see, we have this new registry entry, this new key. You can change the Windows 32 priority. It has some default presets and you can select based on your needs. We have a multimedia scheduler configuration tool. You can change the network throttling, the system responsiveness, the task. Sorry, wait. Okay, we are back. You can change the variables. We can back up your default registry entries and you can save and exit. Be cautious with that. We can open Task Manager, we can open Resource Monitor, we can repair performance counters. If we open it, it will open script. Okay, we're ready? No, I don't want that. And we can open the power options of the power plant that are at this moment on my computer. We can do your updates, you can check for your version. As you see, we have a new version now. This is the beta version. I can do it now. I'm not gonna do it at this moment. We can set the frequency of the updates that for checking the updates. So you can select the never, you can select 1 week, possibly. I will keep this to 1 day. We can include betas or not. You can select automatic updates. And here we have the documentation, but it's very important for, in my opinion, to read it. Basically, it's already here, the documentation. To read in depth every single option here. Also, we have information. Take a general look of what is happening to your system. I think somewhere we can see there is a manual of Process Lasso, but I will keep this in the PowerPoint. I will leave some URLs in my PowerPoint for some Process Lasso important links. Anyways, you can see your version of Process Lasso. You can activate to Pro version. And that was the part of the software part. Now it's time to move to performance tests. By starting in latency, I did 5 tests of 50 seconds each for each game. And now we will see the averages. By starting in Fortnite, first of all, I tested the dark kernel driver and the endos kernel driver. I monitor those 3 metrics from Windows Performance Analyzer that are, in my opinion, one of the most important. And the best options, the lowest numbers, was with timer resolution, foreground boost, no probe balance, and ultimate performance. But for endos kernel, the best options, the best numbers was with no probe balance and Windows Ultimate Performance Power Plan. So, based on the results, if you want lower numbers for endos kernel, use this configuration combination. If you want lower numbers in dark kernel, use the first combination. In my opinion, when we're talking about games, it's more important to focus on dark kernel, so I would prefer this option for my system that give me lower numbers in dark kernel. In CS2, the best option was with all options together, as you see here. And again, for endos kernel was the best with all options again. So in both cases, all those options are the same, so it doesn't matter. You just setting those options and you have the same improvement for both drivers. In Valorant now, the best option was for DirectX kernel, Ultimate Performance Power Plant, Process Lasso. But for CentOS kernel, the best options the best numbers was without Process Lasso. So if you want better numbers on CentOS kernel, you need to remove Process Lasso. But if you want lower numbers in DirectX kernel, you need to use Process Lasso with Ultimate Performance Power Plant. Obviously, guys, the differences are very, very small, and perhaps you can tell me now that it's not very good that I'm doing my test with Windows Performance Recorder and not with a latency tool, such as with NVIDIA Reflex Analyzer that is only for NVIDIA and NVIDIA monitors that support NVIDIA Analyzer. But at this moment, I have only this tool to use it. Latency monitor is not so helpful for my tests. Anyways, I just wanted to mention that. So, the best option, in my opinion, for Valorant is to use this if you want lower numbers for DirectX kernel. Now let's move on to FPS part. I did 10 tests for 60 seconds each for each game, and we have the averages of 10 samples. By starting in Fortnite, the best average FPS was with Process Lasso, low priority to other processes, and Bitsum Power Plant. 1% loss was better without Process Lasso. 0.1% loss was better without Process Lasso. Adaptive SDev was better with Process Lasso, low priority to other processes, and Bitsum Power Plant. The same with up latency, the same with smoothness. Actually, the smoothness is the same in all cases. The maximum frame times was better without Process Lasso. The minimum frame times was the same in all cases. The variances smaller than 2 milliseconds was better with Process Lasso and Bitsum Power Plant. The variances smaller than 4 milliseconds was better with Process Lasso, Timer Resolution, Bitsum Power Plant. The lower bound is actually the lower input lag in FPS part. It's a metric of CapFrameX, and I add it for my tests. I think it's very important to see those metrics. And the best option to get lower numbers for lower bound is Process Lasso, low priority to other processes, and Bitsum Power Plant. Expected the same, upper bound same. So for Fortnite, the best option seems to be Process Lasso and low priority to other processes plus Bitsum Power Plant. In CS2, the best option for average FPS is without Process Lasso. 1% loss was better with Process Lasso and Ultimate Performance Power Plant and Real-Time Priority and IO High. 0.1 the same. Adaptive SDev the same. Up latency the same. Smoothness same. Frame times same. Minimum and maximum. Variance is more than 2 milliseconds same. Variances smaller than 4 milliseconds was with Process Lasso, Ultimate Performance Power Plant, Real-Time Priority, IO High, and Low Priority on other processes. The lower bound again was the same, was better with Process Lasso, Ultimate Performance Power Plant, Real-Time Priority, and IO High. The expected again it was the same, and the upper bound again the same. So for CS2, I suggest Process Lasso and Ultimate Performance Power Plant plus Real-Time Priority plus IO High. In Valorant, the best average FPS was with Process Lasso, Bitsum Power Plant. 1% loss same, 0.1 same, Adaptive SDev same, up latency was better with Process Lasso, Ultimate Performance Power Plant, and Real-Time Priority. The smoothness, it was the same actually. The maximum frame times was better in this case, this case, and this. Okay. We can't say that we have some differences, and especially without Process Lasso, we see the maximum frame time is really high. The minimum frame time is actually the same in all cases. We can't say that we have any variable change. In variances smaller than 2 milliseconds, actually again it was the same. The best variances smaller for 4 milliseconds was with Process Lasso and Ultimate Performance Power Plant and with Hyperthreading off. The lower bound was better without Process Lasso. We expected it was better with Process Lasso, Ultimate Performance Plan, and Real-Time Priority. And the upper bound was better in Process Lasso, Ultimate Performance Power Plan, and Real-Time Priority, and with all options together except the no CPU 0. So based on the results, the best option is Process Lasso plus Bitsum Power Plan with performance mode always on. So we're coming to the end to make our conclusion. Should we use Process Lasso? In my opinion, likely yes, but it differs system by system and so on. You need to conduct your own configurations, analysis, and experiments. From from this video now you can go even further. You can do configuration beyond that what I show on this video. You can experiment and you can configure so much things with Process Lasso, and it's up to you what you will do with Process Lasso, I guess. But you must be careful. Obviously, it's not necessary to say that you don't need to copy my settings. My settings are for my system, but you can take a good idea of how Process Lasso works and what you should expect for your results. Maybe you should try some of my settings that I showed on my performance analysis, but you must be cautious. Don't just copy without test. You need to test first. You need to verify if Process Lasso is helpful for you, its performance helpful, and after that you can understand if it's worth to use it or not. For further documentation, you can use those links, including the manual. As you see, this is the manual of Process Lasso that you can see. It's really also, I'm not suggested, it's from 2009, so it's not so helpful for now to read it, but you can take a look to understand how it started. Special thanks to Jeremy Kollak, the founder of Process Lasso and of Bitsum, because he provides me an activation key for the Pro version, so I conducted my test with the Pro version, and also for his general contribution because he helped me of what to be cautious, what to test, and so on. So, Jeremy, thank you very much for your help. And we're coming to the end, guys. I know it was really huge video. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you now understand how Process Lasso work. If you want to cover something more with Process Lasso, some options like the SmartTrims or Watchdogs options, let me know in comments and I will try to cover a video about those options because they need a separate video. This video it was a kind of an overview of the Process Lasso and I tried to cover the most important aspects of this tool. I hope now you understand anything of with Process Lasso. If you have any question or you need help with something, let me know in comments or join my Discord server to talk even further. Thank you guys and see you in the next performance journey.